Hi guys, welcome back to another exciting week of the Shipmate YouTube channel. This week we're talking about purchase orders, packing slips, and invoices. And what's the difference? So guys, I hear tons of people out there talking about POs, talking about packing slips, talking about invoices, and they use a lot of these terms interchangeably. But today, I want to tell you about all three of these documents and what makes them different. So let's start with the purchase order, or the good old PO. The purchase order is a document that's often given from the buyer to the seller. It includes important information like who is the buyer, what's their address, what goods do they want in what quantities and at what price, right? And it might have a bunch of other kind of things like contact information or other industry-specific information. But this document is a lot like, the touch screen that you touch when you go into a coffee shop or a gas station. And it's where you place your order, right? This is how you tell somebody what you intend to buy or what you want in a way of goods or services. So, for example, the same way you might go to Sheetz and order a cheeseburger, right? You sit there, you select cheeseburger, I want lettuce, tomato, onion, ketchup, no pickles, right? You do the same thing with a purchase order. You might order, 500 of this item and 100 of this item and 2 dozen of that item. So it's a way to, tell the seller what you want in an official kind of way. The next thing we're going to talk about is the invoice, right? So the invoice is a document that is given from the seller to the buyer. This document usually includes things like, the quantity available, right, to fulfill that order. So like, for example, this is where you'll see that, final purchase quantity. You'll see the final cost. You'll see your payment terms, whether it's net 30, net 90, cash on receipt, all those kind of terms laid out. You'll see maybe even your delivery terms. And this is kind of where it lays out all those payment instructions. It lays out the deal, and the buyer can look at that invoice and agree to pay it and agree to receive those goods or services. So that's where the invoice really comes in. And then finally we have the packing slip. So the packing slip or packing list is something that usually comes along with the delivery of physical goods, right? So if you order a pallet or you order a box, there's usually a nice little list inside there, and it tells you what's included, right? So it'll tell you, you got 500 of this or 200 of that on a pallet, or if it's in a box, it might say, one sweater, one pair of socks, and a dress, So this is going to tell you what is included in that shipment, what's on that shipment. And this is really important because sometimes you might order something and it might come in multiple boxes or multiple shipments. And it's really good to have that packing list, especially if you're trying to receive these goods into an inventory management system or something else like that. Because you want to know what you have, what you don't have, what you're waiting on. And that way you can follow up on that to make sure that what was received matches what was on the invoice, right? So it's really important to, include a packing list if you're a seller and, to really reference that packing list if you're doing any kind of inventory work. So the packing list is very important. So guys, these are the three main documents you see all the time when you're buying something, you're receiving something in the mail, you're receiving something on a pallet. And it's important to understand what the differences are. So in summary, the differences are: the PO is a document used by the buyer to signify to the seller what they're interested in purchasing, at what price, at what quantity. The invoice is a document given by the seller to the buyer that lays out payment terms, freight terms, the information of what they're going to be selling them and at what price. And it allows you to get all those details collected in one place. And then finally, a packing list or packing slip is the document that comes along with the shipment that tells you what is contained in this specific shipment, box, pallet, etc. So all three of these documents are really important. If you're going to be running a business, you better get used to having all three of them going, especially if you're an e-commerce seller, because you're going to be putting in POs to your suppliers, POs to your packaging companies, POs to your fulfillment center. You're going to be receiving invoices from all of those, right? You're going to be invoicing customers for their purchases. You're going to be receiving POs from your customers, invoices out to them. You're going to be getting, packing slips and putting those in all your packages. When you're receiving things in, you're going to be receiving packing slips from other people. So it's really important to get used to these 3 documents because they're really important in commerce, in both retail, e-commerce, and just the general transfer of goods throughout our economy. I hope you guys learned something. If you did, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a follow. We're trying to get to 2,000. We're almost there, and you can be the one who sets us over the edge. So we really want you to, stay engaged, be part of the Shipmate family, and thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.